Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I wanted to give a little more information on my last episode where I talked with Emily Cook, a former colleague of mine, about mental health and how physical training has greatly helped both me and her to overcome our struggles with it. And I wanted to give one more resource out to you about a book, actually, about how trauma actually affects our lives. So it's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it is written by Bessel Kolk. Now, this resource is something I came across a while back, and I gotta say, I actually have read most of it. I have not read all of it yet, but when I did start reading it, I had to put it down because it really struck me. It kind of really resonated to the point where I had to take a break, and it really stirred up a lot for me. But it also provided a great deal of information and insight that allowed me to understand my own trauma and experiences that I had been through as a child and how it affected me. Trauma can have some serious long-lasting impressions, and in the beginning of the book, the author actually goes through his experience with Army veterans and the trauma that they experience and how it affects them, and he comes to find out through other stages in his career with his practice that trauma is very similar across the board, whether it's emotional, physical, sexual, whatever it may be, and it can really affect the way we think, the way we act, the way we feel in certain situations. We might be more hypervigilant, we might always expect something bad to happen, and we may not learn from our experiences. If you find yourself repeating the same mistake over and over again, oftentimes a lot of us are doing that anyway, but if you've experienced some trauma in your life, then you may have a much, much harder time learning from experience. And it also will keep you from growing as an individual. It'll keep you from changing. Obviously, if you can't learn from experience, then you're stuck. You kind of stop evolving. You stop growing when your trauma really hits you. And it also takes a dive later on in the book. It takes a deep dive into different treatment and recovery options that he recommends, including yoga. They actually, at his practice, they use yoga and then a series of other specific therapy practices as well. So this is a great resource. I highly, highly recommend that if you have experience with trauma, if you've had trauma in your life and you're trying to heal, or maybe you know somebody that's trying to heal and you want to understand them better, it has some amazing insight into how trauma affects us and the repercussions for the individual and those around them as well. So I hope that one helps. I hope it helps aid someone out there. Check it out if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, trauma. It could be a great resource for you and just one more step towards recovery. And hey, don't forget to exercise as well. That can be very healing also. But hey, I'm definitely by no means again am I a doctor or therapist or anything like that. But hey, I like I've mentioned, I've done 10 years of therapy myself, and I've been on medication for a while. That's another thing you may want to explore. It can be scary, obviously, doing those things. They can be big changes, and they can certainly be a bit scary. They can be big changes, and that can usually have an element of fear to it. But I digress. I want to thank you for listening. I hope this helps you in some way. Let's train our bodies, but also train our minds as well, and let's be the best we can be. I hope it helps, and get strong, live long.